Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the channel Sharpen. My name is Robert Hall, and in today's video we're going to go over a new product from Godox, the R200 Ring Flash. The R200 is a ring flash and bracket system designed for the Godox AD200. So really simple, you take off your fresnel, bare bulb, round head, whatever head that you're using on the AD200, and the other end of the R200 attaches right to it. Now, in terms of what to do with the AD200 pack once you've got it attached, if you're in a studio and you're setting this up on some type of stand or tripod, you can put a super clamp on your AD200 and then just attach it to a light stand or tripod. If you're more interested in using the R200 Ring Flash for location shooting, whether that's macro and you're out in the woods or you're doing an on-location portrait setup, you don't have to put this on a stand. You can easily put this, you can honestly just stuff it in a pocket if you've got big enough pants or you happen to still wear cargo shorts. There's also a pouch that's available for it. I've got it linked down in the description below. Also, if you don't want to buy that extra pouch and you already have a dual harness, then you can always connect one of those harnesses to the 1/4-20 thread on the AD200, and then it's nice and attached to you. You've got the cable kind of wrapped around you, but this is actually what I did to shoot with it in water, and that way I could assure that, I could keep the AD200 from going into the water, still have this and not have to worry about the cable dipping into the water either. The R200 is two pieces. We've got the actual ring flash, and then you have this bracket on the back. The bracket does allow you to collapse this a little bit. That way you can pack it up a little bit tighter when traveling with it. If you go to collapse it, you're gonna have to probably undo these knobs and move this forward, and then that'll allow you to collapse this into its most compact form. Now, when it comes to setting it up, there's all these different areas that you can control it. That way you can modify it with whatever camera and lens you are putting on here. So there is a 1/4-20 mount right here, and that is for attaching your camera to. And then you can also use that to move your camera left and right within there, just so that you can align the lens to the center of the ring light. I recommend you tighten that 1/4-20 thread completely before you go on to do the rest, because once it tightens down, it will level the camera's position, so you don't really want to modify anything else before you have the camera leveled off. After that, the two screws on the back, if you loosen those, you can move the ring flash forward and backward. Typically, you bring a ring flash right to the front of either your lens or your lens hood, just so it's flush with the front of your lens, and that will just assure that you're not actually blocking any of your light with your lens hood. Finally, these two screws on the back, it's kind of in perfect position already, but they will allow you to move the ring flash up and down. And as you can see, you've got a really wide range. So even if you're using a very tall camera body, any full-size DSLR, any camera with a battery grip attached to it, you're still gonna be able to mount on here and lift the ring flash high enough that the lens will still go through. Now, in terms of the opening, it is a 111mm opening. That doesn't necessarily mean that everything under a 111mm front element will fit in here. For instance, I don't own it anymore, but the R1200 has roughly the same size opening, and I could not fit the 105mm lens through the back of it. That being said, you could take the 105mm lens and put it through this way and get the ring flash quite close to the front element. But yeah, once you have the lens hood on, it becomes larger than the 111mm that this allows you to go through. But in my experience, any 70 to 200mm, 24 to 70, as well as practically any prime outside of that Sigma 105 bokeh master will fit through the opening on the Godox R200. Now, in terms of using this when out and about, say you're trying to pick up something for macro photography, so you want something that you could carry with you into the woods. This is perfectly comfortable for me to use. I don't think that this is unwieldy. It's very manageable, and if you want to, you can of course attach it to a tripod. I think the fact that the R200 uses an AD200 or an AD200 Pro to power it makes it far more versatile than the R1200 that's available for the AD1200 Pro. Because the reality is, if you're going and doing macro in the woods, you really don't want to be carrying around a 17-pound power pack just to be able to do ring flash. With this, you've got a 2-pound light that you can put on your hip, or again, comfortably in some pockets, and now you've got the ring flash access without so much weight bogging you down. Also, the AD200 is the most popular light that Godox has ever made. It's the light that most people own. It's usually the first off-camera flash that people buy these days. So now there's a ring flash accessory available to a light that most people already have, whereas the AD1200 Pro is highly specialized. It's for really power-hungry users pushing into commercial photography applications. locations, so less people just have the light, and you don't really want to spend $1,500 just so that you can gain access to a ring flash. So that's my favorite thing about the R200, is that it's just available to a wider variety of users. Now, I was sent the R200 ahead of the release, but there have been some other accessories that have been announced with it. There's a silver reflector that you can attach to it. There are 3 honeycomb grids available, 20 degree, 30 degree, and 40 degree. There's also a set of color correction gels that are going to be available for the R200. I think that's great because that allows you to balance this ring flash with any type of ambient light. And lastly, there is a carrying case. I've only seen the carrying case through Autorama. It's a $100 carrying case, and it's designed to accommodate the ring flash, the bracket, and any of the honeycomb grids. I do think that's a little bit expensive for a carrying case, so I might look for other solutions to keep this all together, because it is nice to keep this whole kit of stuff together. I have the R1200 as well as all the grids and everything, and it's just kind of scattered all across a shelf. So keeping it all in one place is really nice, especially if you're taking this on location. There is one more accessory included with the R200, and that is an umbrella mount. It's very simple to install. You just take out the screws, put the umbrella mount, re-add the screws, and then the umbrella mount will automatically be centered. And then you can insert an umbrella, and it's going to be directly in the center of the R200. And in my experience, a ring flash actually works quite well in an umbrella. A fresnel head is going to be really concentrated, and it gets tough to use the entire umbrella. And a bare bulb, at least without a reflector, just goes everywhere, so a lot of your light spills outside of an umbrella. With this, it's a pretty wide coverage of light, so it's very easy to use an entire umbrella without spilling any light and wasting it. All right, I do want to do a quick light output test. So right now we have the R200 48 inches away from the light meter at ISO 100 and 1/250th of a second. We get f11 and 6/10 of a stop. And the AD200 with its fresnel head at the same distance is an f32 and 5/10 of a stop. So the ring flash will produce about 3 stops less light output than the fresnel head on the AD200, which isn't really a surprise considering the AD200 with its fresnel head is a very concentrated beam of light. It's about 35 millimeters, whereas this is going to be a much wider pattern of light. All right, the final thing to check is the color. So I'm gonna use my Sekonic C800 colorimeter, and we get a 5943 Kelvin, pretty close to 6,000, so it's on par with the AD200. I am using an AD200 Pro in its color stable mode just to get the most accurate color. We have an CRI average of 96.3, but we also have a CCI of 0.3 G, which means that this is actually a little bit on the magenta side, and it would take a 0.3 plus green gel to correct it for neutral. I do wish it did not have any magenta tint, because now that means that you're gonna have to put a gel on it just to get it to be even with daylight, which is probably what you want by default out of your ring flash. All right, let me know what you guys think of this ring flash. Do you think it's a better option than the R1200 that was previously available? If you have any questions about it, let me know in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next one.